Right. So Trans Am racing, I mean, SCCA racing encompasses obviously a whole myriad of regions all over the country, and they have national races. They do have some enduros, as they call them. But endurance racing, my focus during those years was to compete in the long races that were on the sports car calendar, which was the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona, the 12 Hours of Sebring. At the time, we were doing a 6-hour race every year at Laguna Seca. That was on the mark. And then, of course, the Petit Le Mans race as well. So my focus was to get into those 4 races and do the best I can for the team that invited me to be there.
Okay. All right. So what are you doing today? Are you still sports car racing, or are you focusing much on coaching?
Focusing mostly on coaching right now. It's an opportunity-based sport, right? Someone's got to pay. I have been adamant my whole life that I will not pay to race. Once I use my own money to pay to race, I'm no longer a professional. I mean, that's just my thought. If you take the business model that we have in motorsports, where almost anybody can get themselves through a racing school to the point where they get a racing license, and then write a check and be involved in almost any race that there is out there in the world, except for, well, even Formula One, as you know, a lot of these guys are bringing money. I just felt like if I was going to stick with my guns, it would be to be a professional. And if that meant that the phone wasn't ringing for me to race anymore, but it was ringing for me to coach, I'm still a professional. And I'm proud of that fact.
That's really impressive, man. So you're not one of those people that gets an offer from a team and they say, how much money can you bring? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying that's what happens all the time, but I refuse to now I can find sponsorship dollars, which I'm happy to do. It's not as easy as it used to be. Matter of fact, it's near impossible. Certainly I will bring sponsorship money, but in terms of, I never used my parents' money. I used my own money to start racing. I worked hard to save money so I could do the best or the most amount of racing that I could do while I was working my way up. And then when the opportunities came to be in a bigger, better scenario, I no longer had to bring that money, but we did have some sponsorship throughout the years that was very, very good sponsors. But they come and go. I think, if I had a sponsor, somebody that wanted to come on board, if I was talking to somebody, we could certainly make a really good program out of it. It's all about relationships. It really is all about relationships. And so instead of being anxious or living my life in anxiety or sadness because I'm not racing, I just wanted to do what I could do to be a professional and stay a professional.
That's really incredible. Good way to look at it, man. What does the logo on your cap represent? So
that's my coaching logo. It's R Speed. It's just a little LLC that I put together. I spent my whole life in a uniform, whether it was a driver's uniform or some sort of team sport uniform. And when I started coaching, I looked around and I saw some of my fellow coaches. You didn't know who they were, right? They were just somebody standing there, and they were wearing jeans and a T-shirt, and you didn't know. And I felt it was the right thing to do to represent myself at the racetrack and represent myself as a professional. And to be honest with you, I feel it makes a difference.
Great to hear. So what are your hopes for the future then?
My realistic hopes for the future is I'd really like to start getting back into some endurance racing. The Creventic 24-hour series is a great series that runs worldwide. I was going to do the Sebring race this coming year, but unfortunately that event has been canceled. So that's off the table. So the idea is to get back into doing some of those races and focusing on places that I want to go. You know, I want to pick and choose. You know, if I wanted, I haven't been to Spa in my life. I mean, I've been to Spa, but I haven't raced at Spa. So I'd like to maybe pick and do the 24 hours of Spa, or if they come back to the US, do the Sebring race, which is one of my favorite tracks anyways. So that's the goal. The goal is to get back into the endurance racing series, whether it's GT America or whether it's one of the US series, or whether it's something like the Creventic series. I'm looking at every angle.
Awesome. So where can people find you? And this is the last question.
Well, they can find me in a few places. My website, renevilleneuve.com, is pretty easy. I like to say that I'm the most accessible person whose phone never rings. My email, my phone number are up on my website, as well as videos and some photos, and sort of a chronological or non-chronological view into my racing career from almost the very beginning. I can also be found on a website called racecarcoaches.com, which was started by a great guy, fellow driver, Ryan Dial, who was a former IndyCar driver. He's also a IMSA WeatherTech sports car driver. Great guy. He decided to start a website where he could put coaches' information out in a regional level so that people could find you and say, hey, I live in California, you're in California. You know what, you come on out. So you can go to racecarcoaches.com, and I think it's / my name, or you could just go to the Southern California region, and you can find my information there.
Great to hear. So that's all we have for now, but we thank you for coming on to Stories from Motorsports International.
I appreciate it. I'm very honored to be here.
Appreciate it. So everyone, check them out on those websites right there. And we'll see you next month for the next episode of Stories from Motorsports International.